Hello,
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 hello.
hello.
Okay, so welcome to my YouTube channel, everybody. My YouTube live stream, everybody. This is Nicholas Montez here, and happy New Year, everybody. I know it's the fifth day of the New Year, but it's okay. It's still the New Year. Um, so this live is gonna be a little bit differently. If you guys are new to my channel, usually I talk about movies, but in this live stream, we talk about real life, and basically, this live is to cover the events of my life behind the camera and all of this stuff, and not really talking about movie reviews or my thoughts on movies or anything like that. It's really just talking about my real life experiences. What stuff have I done that is not, as big of a thing when it comes to talking about movies? So with that said, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Let me set up the chapter markers in the comment section or in the description. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. So we're gonna start off with talking about July. And as you know, these lives, I'm gonna talk about each and every one of my months, what I did, what was going on between those months in my real life, not on YouTube, because you already know what I was doing on YouTube. So when it comes to July, it was the first full month of summer, and unlike other Julys, I didn't really have anything planned. That doesn't mean I did stuff, because I would probably have skipped it if I didn't have anything to do. So, coming off of June, I did quite a few things. I went to go see Across the Spider Verse with my friends, which was a week before school ended, and then I ended my first year in high school. Then I went to go see Across the Spider Verse with my sister again, and then I went to two birthday parties that were pool parties, and then I went to go see my best friend at the mall. So I did some interesting stuff in July. In June. I did some interesting stuff in June. When it comes to July, I had this overall plan to where I wanted to see a lot of different friends over summer break, but it did not really plan out the way I wanted it to. But there are, of course, certain people I had to see. So, and there are certain people I did see. So, one of the first, I really did three things this past July that were meaningful. First one, I went to go see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I was really wondering how I was going to be able to see this one, because I don't really have a friend that really likes Mission Impossible, or at least watches Mission Impossible. And so I was really nervous as to how I was going to be able to go see this. But then I remember I have this one friend who doesn't really care about what movie they're watching, because they've watched most of the same movies that I've seen. Um, they've seen Guardians, they've seen Spider Verse. Um, so they were basically fine. So I'm like, if they're fine with seeing those movies, I'm sure they wouldn't be fine. That they would be fine watching Mission Impossible. And what's also kind of good about this is you don't need to watch like another movie, the other movies, to really understand what's going on, which I think is probably the best thing about the Mission Impossible films. So yeah, we went to go see it. We didn't really talk much because she kind of got there late, and also this is like the first time I'm actually hanging out with this friend. I don't know if I'll be able to hang out with them again though, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it was a good hangout, and it was a good movie that we enjoyed. We got a picture. I got a picture of the poster, and then yeah, it was a nice little thing. It was a nice little hangout. Would I want to try maybe something with that person again? Maybe, sure, but I would like to include some other friends too. Then we get this other hangout that I think was a week later, and I actually met up with my friend at the mall. We had to pick them up, and then we drove to the mall together, and it was another nice hangout. As part of the best thing about the mall is you don't have to pay for it because the mall is like a hanging out place. You can hang out if you want. You can go and eat at the food court if you want, and yeah, like it's a nice place to just hang out and talk and chill. And if you want to go to the arcade, you can do that as well. But uh it was almost like the hangout that I had in June, but obviously the experience was a bit different because of the friend I'm hanging out with. So I thought with this hangout, it was definitely a good experience, and I would definitely much like to hang out with that person again. So yeah, the hangouts that I had in July were good. I can't. They were good. They were good. They were good experiences, and yeah, they're definitely people I want to hang out with again. And then the final one was actually me going to see Barbie with my sister in theaters. Technically, I already saw Barbie before. I already saw Barbie before this. I saw it online, but my sister wanted to see it in theaters, and kind of a funny story to talk about since there's not much to talk about in July. So, as the movie was about to finish, right? Um, as soon as like it was about right about around the scene when Barbie was transforming into human, and she was like going to see her gynecologist, or her gynecologist or whatever. As soon as the movie ends, as soon as the credits roll, my stomach starts to hurt like really bad. Like I don't know what was going on. Like it's not like I had to. Point is, I had to use the bathroom, but like it wasn't like the one where you have to like where you feel like you gotta take a crap. It more feels like it felt like a weird feeling that I had to because I had to pee for some reason. Like I had to pee, and my stomach is hurting. I feel like it would only hurt if I had to go that bad, but I did. I guess I did. So as soon as the movie was over, I went straight to the bathroom. And what was so funny is I accidentally went in the girls' bathroom, and that was so crazy because I wasn't even thinking that I went in the girls' bathroom. So it didn't take very long. I wasn't in there very long. I went to the bathroom, did my business, and then I just walked out. Thankfully, nobody saw me, but it was really embarrassing because I'm like, how could I not notice I was in the boys' bath? I was in the girls' bathroom. Like that's just crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that happened in July. I know it may not seem that interesting, but the things I did were good. It wasn't the best month, but it was good. I enjoyed myself in July. And now we're gonna start talking about August. All right, so as we move into August, there's quite a few things that it was kind of a busy month for me because it's the last half month of summer, and really three things that were going on. First off, I was going to Disney World for the first time in over a year. The last time I went to Disney World before this was back in March of 2022. The other thing was I was starting school back up again, and I didn't have many weeks to really do anything. And then the other thing was my mom's birthday, but we didn't really do anything much. So I would say that's probably the least of the worries, but we still did something, I guess. So we'll talk about Disney first. I thought going back to Disney was a fun trip. Um, and I think the thing I was really impressed with this trip was how much trooping I did. As it was to me, this was probably the hottest it's ever been in Disney, and it was like sweating balls outside. And granted, there were certain places that had AC. I was very tired, and I also walked a lot this trip. This was the most tiring trip, but at the same time, and that's the thing, most of my friends would be like, I don't really like going to Disney because there's so much walking. But like, and some of those people are actually people that went to the Universal trip in 8th grade in middle school. So you can do that, but you can't do Disney World. It's kind of the same thing because they're both in Florida. And especially people that go to New York or whatever or travel to other places, like you're gonna need walking. Of course you are. So, but at the same time, it's like, but part of the reason why I would like going to Disney, but like, my family is always trying to look for the best relaxing vacation where we don't have to walk a lot, or we don't have to do all of this. And I think part of having a good vacation is hard work. Because even before you got to prepare for it, you got to buy clothes, you got to buy food, you got to buy all this stuff. So, in a way, even preparing for a vacation is work. So, it's like even setting things up, it's still work. So, I think no matter what vacation you do, whether it takes a lot of work, there's always gonna be a little bit of work in a vacation. So overall, I think even if we try to do something different, it's still gonna be the same. Just I'm just gonna still miss Disney. And what also kind of hurts is I haven't been to a Disney hotel in over a couple of years because I've had a dog, and so it feels very weird to not have been to Disney without a dog. The last time I actually went to Disney like without my dog was actually in March of 2021, and then I went to Disney again in August of 2021, and then I went to Disney again in March of 2022, and then I went to Disney again in August of 2023. So it was just the weirdest of months, the weirdest of things. But like I said, this trip was good. It was the hottest of them, but it was still good. One thing I actually did do, they decided to host the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party early, so me and my sister actually did that, and we actually had a redo of that party, and it was quite good. Um, and it was much better than the experience that I had in 2019. Because if you guys don't know my experience in 2019, my family went all out. Me and my dad were Mr. Incredible and Dash from The Incredibles. My sister was one of the witches from Hocus Pocus, and my mom was Maleficent. And it was absolutely terrible because that night it was pouring, and all of the rides, pretty much that whole, and I went there in October 2019, and that whole trip was just bad luck. Like we tried going back to the hotel and try to make it like a ice cream sundae with our chocolate and candy, and the ice cream machines weren't working for some reason, and so it's like the that whole trip was just full of bad luck. And honestly, even every other trip after, I don't even know what it is. I don't even know. It's like since every other trip, the recent trips that I've taken Disney World, they haven't felt the same. To where you can go to Disney and have a good time like the past times. And I feel like maybe that's just me getting older or something. I'm not sure. But I really want to go back to those times where we can just go to Disney and it could be awesome again. And it can have that same great feeling. But I'm pretty sure it's just me getting older. Of course, I still have my love for Disney films. I still have my love for Pixar and Marvel and stuff like that. But going to Disney, that's the great experience. And I have so many great memories from going to Disney, especially like in 2016. Some of my favorite memories were like going to Disney very early in the morning and like getting there by sunrise. Just one of the best memories. But we'll work about Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party this time. It wasn't pouring, but we took the right amount of breaks. We had to stand in line for certain aspects. Um, and then we got some food before we left, but for some reason my head was kind of dizzy. I guess it's because I was very hot and I just needed to go lay down. So I laid down and then we left. And then we get into the last week of school, and I went to Disney World the second to last week before summer ended. And now we get into the last week of summer, which part of the interesting thing about this one is, oh, and here's the other interesting thing about the Disney hotel. I actually did stay at a Disney hotel that allowed dogs, and it was a Princess and the Frog themed one. And what was so interesting about this one is they allowed dogs, and it was they had this like little shop where they sell beignets, and some of the breakfast food was quite good. I would definitely say that. Um, and was also one of the big things about last Disney trip was I hated the food where it's like we always try to get something, and every time we would try to buy something, it would be around like 10, and nothing would be open. And the only food that would actually be good was food we would get, and the only good food we actually got was like from the Crystal Palace and a pizza that we bought. And I'm like, this is not the Disney experience I wanted. Granted, I'm not ungrateful. I'm just saying there are certain things I like when it comes to Disney trips, and I guess certain Disney trips aren't going to work the way you want them to. But going into summer, overall the Disney hotel was good. But now let's talk about the last week of summer. So I was going through it this week because one of the big things that was going on, I was first off feeling the Disney blues, coming back from Disney and feeling that sadness of Disney, and it was quite dreadful. And especially looking at pictures I took and all this stuff. Oh, and another thing is the food this trip actually worked better because I went to this breakfast place that I went to I think for my birthday in 2020, and it was like a meet and greet for Donald, Pluto, Goofy, Minnie, Daisy, or whatever. It was amazing, and I had the funnest time there, and I loved everything about that place. So, and I personally, I my favorite type of breakfast food is breakfast food. So that was a great place. But moving into summer, I was feeling Disney blues, but also I was getting very nervous for school because one thing that I forgot to mention, the week before I went to Disney, my schedule for school came out, and I saw a bunch of classes that I'm not sure if I liked, and I didn't really know what to feel about them. So I was very nervous. I had like tech theater, I had um, biology or whatever, and so I heard about all these different things, and I was just so nervous for it. Now it wasn't exactly as nerve wracking as it sounds. And then by Wednesday, I started like crying it out because it's like this is stressful, and the fact that like I'm getting older, and sooner or later I'm gonna have to deal with life on my own, to where I'm gonna have to pay my bills on my own, and all of this stuff. It's like, how am I gonna be able to do this? But we don't have to worry about that too far yet. But yeah, and then so to make me feel better, my parents decided to basically play a movie for me. We decided to host a movie night. We've got pizza, made pizza, we got wings and all that stuff, and we decided to play a movie and watch um, Good Will Hunting, which is why I included it in the list of summer movies that I watched. And then the next day, which was Saturday, I also watched Good Will Hunting on a Friday. The next day was Saturday, and I watched Blue Beetle with my friends. It was the final movie that I saw for summer of 2023. It was a pretty great experience to hang out with friends, and then we get to the big day, and oh my god, even just thinking about this, even just thinking about going back to school and that experience, oh my god, I was thinking so much stuff that week. It was nerve wracking for me. Like the fact that I'm going to sleep I'm going to sleep for the last night late in a long time. Well, at least for at least more 5 days, at least until like 5 days later. But for that night, for the next night, I'm going to sleep early again, and it's like it's so weird. And so, if I'm being honest, that night I tried going to sleep peacefully, to where I actually tried going to sleep peacefully, thinking about the good things, seeing my friends and all that stuff. And I was kind of proven wrong. So let's talk about my first week of middle of 10th grade. And I thought this week, the first week of 10th grade was very mid. So let's talk about the first day. So if you guys don't know, I take the bus to school. And I kind of was doing good in the morning, kind of. As I woke up with a good attitude, I went to go eat breakfast, I did my chores, and then I relaxed a little bit before I had to catch the bus. But here's the catch. My bus time this year was a bit different from my bus time last year, where my bus time last year arrived at like 6:40 something, or no, actually it arrived at 6:52, or really it arrived at 7. And then this year it arrived at like 6:45. So I had to be at the bus by like 6:30, 6:35. 10 minutes before, 10, 15 minutes before. And so usually last year I would get ready for school at like 6:20. And unfortunately, that's what I did, and that's what I did on the first day of school. And as soon as walking out the door, the bus was right about there. Like right there. And something else I didn't expect is like my bus has other stops, which means I'm not going to get to school like the way I used to. And so I was thinking, if it's arriving a little bit earlier, maybe I'll actually get to school early, maybe at like 7 or something. No, it is not like that. Because we have other stops, we basically get there at like 7:08, which is not a bad stop. I mean, it's not a bad time to arrive at school, but it would have been something way better. But honestly, the bus thing, I feel like my bus this year has been the worst because it's my way of getting home. Now, sometimes my parents can pick me up, which they have been during December and stuff, but we'll talk about the bus situation later in the August part. But then we get to my classes, we get to school, and the first class I have is English. I think English is fine. The teacher's fine. I'm not going to say anything about my teachers though, because you know it would be rude. But personally, I just let them talk, and that's it. There's not really much I can do because I can't change what they do. But that's them. One thing is for certain, my English teacher doesn't really feel like anybody can vibe with her, especially since she doesn't do like makeup dates. Like literally every day she has work for something for you. um, but if but like if you turn it, if your assignment's late, you can't turn it in. She does because she doesn't accept late work. Then we get world history, and I actually thought this teacher. I think my world history teacher is cool because, and honestly, I actually do pretty well in all her class, in all the classes I've done on both quarters, and she's actually pretty easy because she gives easy work, and I pretty much get good grades on all of her assignments. The only assignments I don't get good grades on are her tests, and that's really much just because I don't study. But she gives extra credit to some people, and I think she knows the people that do good. So honestly, I got an A in the first quarter, and then I got a B in the second quarter. So I am pretty much good with that class. And then we get the third period is a new class I have called digital video, which is basically a class where you edit and it's all on the computer. And I think that this is one of the hardest classes I've ever taken. Um, I'm not good with computers. Like I'm good with some technology purposes, but I'm not good with everything. And as we are reaching, and honestly, as we're reaching throughout the midpoint of the semester, I was really struggling to where I actually got an F in the first quarter of digital video, and it was not good. And what's even crazy is the assignments. The assignments that he gives us are these assignments that like, and the thing is like, I think I started failing when everybody else was just finished. When everybody else started to be finished, like we were put into groups, and then all of a sudden we didn't know if we could continue doing these pictures thing, and I didn't know if we because like we were in groups, but it's like everybody. It seemed like everybody else finished, and it's like I don't know if there's enough time to finish all these shots, and so I had to finish them on my own, and I kept telling him to like turn them in, and he wasn't really listening, and so I'm like, and like my mom was like even trying to like it's a I'll save that for another later date, but point of story of that class is it was pretty hard. Then we get to fourth, which is Spanish. If you guys don't know me, my dad is Spanish. He's from Nicaragua. So that's kind of an easy class, and surprisingly it is an easy class. He seemed like an intense teacher at it seemed like an intense class at first, but at the same time but honestly, I got some friends in there now, so I think it's a class that I can easily get by. Um, and somehow he actually lets you cheat on the some tests, which I'm actually surprised by. So I kind of like that for him. And then we get to fifth period, which is math, geometry. I think that this is one of I think that this is um one of the first times this is honestly one of the first uh classes that I just honestly hated because I hate math. Not because of the teacher or anything, but just in the ways that the work was done, I just hated it. And it was honestly very impossible for me to get a good grade in math again. Like since high school started, it's impossible for me to get good in math. And the whole thing is, it's like there's not enough time. And now I could watch videos and everything, but it's like there's so much work to where it's like it's hard to compare the work that I'm doing with the math problem that I have to solve. And it's so confusing, and I hate doing this. So it was harsh. It was weird. Then we get biology, which I was very nervous for this class because I was thinking it was going to be intense. But unlike Spanish, where it was surprisingly really, really easy, this class is also really easy too. Now, what's kind of interesting about it is she's kind of one of those teachers that just gives you work, like a whole like pile of work. But the thing about her work is the work is easy. It's not like super hard like all these other things that were given. So I kind of respect it for that. But at the same time, it's like it is kind of stressful but honestly, because the work is so easy, it's kind of the least of your worries, even though the work is a lot. It's just a lot, even though it's incredibly easy. And then we get tech theater, which is basically like working on the tech stuff and building. This is a class that I think is fun, but it's sometimes hard to get a good grade in the class, especially since everything is pretty much like teamwork and it's group work. So I think overall it's a good class. However, it is kind of like my English class where I basically just get C's in all of them, but I overall do good. And then the last one, I have study hall for last period for my B day. I think it's pretty good. Um, At first I was like, doesn't I don't really like that the teacher like every 30 like on the last hour of the day she like decides to do this tutoring thing, but but by the second quarter she like changed the study hall class around to where it basically is a tutoring session, and I actually kind of liked that because it like makes me feel less alone of having to do something. So I liked that. And then we get and so yeah, overall all my classes they're some of them are good, but I'm really hoping I can pass all of them next quarter, and hopefully in one of the classes that I do good in. But now we get to, so this is pretty much my thoughts on the classes throughout the months I've been in them. But we'll talk about the first day. So going back to the first day, it was very overwhelming, and what was so bad is that I was pretty much like an hour late, where I didn't get home from school until like 4, and because my bus came right on time as soon as I was going to school, and it comes super late to school. And I get it; it's the first day back. The buses aren't really probably working as much. But it's like, shouldn't you guys be testing these things beforehand to get them prepared back to working and stuff? I don't know. And the thing is, I don't even know why the bus is late. Sometimes she warns us that she's going to be late, but I don't know. And then the next day was just terrible. The next day was just bad for bus, as the bus didn't even come. So it's like my mom had to drive me to school, but she drove me like at 7:15, and so there was already like a line in the car loop. So I had to walk almost all the way, and I was pretty much almost late to class. Or I think I was late, but it didn't count because it was like the second day of school. It was the first week, so I didn't. It didn't matter much. But thankfully, I wasn't. It wasn't on my thing. And then as soon as the day ends, the bus at least comes, but it was kind of tricky because she has to sign people on. Usually last year the bus lady just signs you on and that's it the first day. No, I don't think any bus lady just assigns just like sees if you are on the bus like the first week. I mean the first day, like who does it the first whole week? But something kind of came around the third day, as I woke up at 5, and my mom told me to, or actually I woke up at 5:30. So my mom told me, why don't you why don't you sleep another hour and 15 minutes or something like that from 5:30 to 6:15, and I'll drive you to school, and I'll heat up your breakfast or whatever, and I'll drive you to school. Or you can just do your normal routine like always. And I actually decided to choose the second routine because I really wanted to sleep, because the past few nights of that week, I wasn't sleeping well because I was stressed out, because I was crying, because I was doing all this. And so yeah, sorry, I'm getting notifications on my phone. I probably should turn this phone over. Hold up. So as you know, I drove to school, and I surprisingly had a better day. It was a B day, which I wasn't really the biggest fan of, but surprisingly, I liked B. I kind of liked the first B day, first official B day I really had. And what also made my day a bit better was the bus came on time, and so I was able to get there before 4. I got to home at like 3:30, and I was feeling better, to where I was thinking maybe school isn't bad after all. Maybe it is actually something cool. And then I had A day, which I will say was actually kind of good. I thought it was a good day. My first A day was pretty good, and it was quite easy, and I liked it. And also the bus thing was actually helping a lot better, and it was working a lot better to where, yeah, no, it goes on and off with the bus lady, so I guess that's something you gotta expect. Um, and then the final Friday, which I thought was a overall good closeout to the week. It was a good closeout. The thing what about this week though, I was tired as hell. And honestly, throughout this whole school year, this one feels like to me like the most exhausting school year of all time because we're doing so much. I'm waking up early, but the thing is, like, I'm walking a lot more. I'm like most of my classes are pretty far, and the work seems a bit more in a way. And I guess they're like trying to find ways to like teach the work to you yourself. And so yeah, and one other thing about math, I don't know what it was, but somehow on the first week, my math teacher kind of messed up on one of the homeworks, and ever since then, it that's kind of been a thing that's been going on when it comes to math homework and stuff, to where it's been messing up, to where on the day of the test or something, multiple of us are getting Fs. And she's also a teacher that doesn't allow phones, yet we still fail. But nobody studies. Like nobody does any of that. And so yeah, it was fine. All the other classes were actually pretty fun and good. And one thing I like about my tech theater class, a lot of the kids, most of them are actually really nice. Most of them are really nice. And I was put into a group at first that for some reason I wasn't really a big fan of because I just couldn't really connect with anybody there. And everybody just seemed like they were annoyed by me because I wasn't helping much in working. It's just because I'm not used to working like this. But then I was put into a different group the second quarter, and I thought it was actually much better. And I guess I actually was able to find some better friends in that class. So I thought it was good. And also, what lunches do I have? A day, I actually have a lunch all the time. And I'm actually able to find some friends, and it's a different amount of friends. So I think it's good. And so yeah, that sums up my first week of school, and I pretty much just talked about everything that was going on throughout my life of school. Oh, and what's interesting about biology though is you can get multiple Fs on like on CFAs because usually CFAs in past school years wouldn't mean much, but you can get like you can she can check your notebook, get a 100, and it could be worth a test grade, and it could easily boost your grade up to like a B. You can have an F in that class or a D, and it could boost your grade up to a B. That's amazing to me. And I definitely like that the teacher can do that. There's other teachers like my Spanish teacher, where my Spanish teacher can basically easily put in a class for a grade, and it can easily boost your grade up to an A. It did that. Like I got a C for something, it was turned down to a C for my whole grade of the class, and all of that. So I definitely enjoyed all of that stuff. So I loved that. And now we get to my mom's birthday, which was technically on, I believe, Monday of that week. Well, wait, was it? Wait, let me check something, let me check my calendar. Let me check my calendar because I actually forgot. Oh yeah, okay, it was on a Monday. So it was on a Monday. And what exactly did we do for my mom's birthday? We didn't do much, honestly. We just went out to eat and then we went to the beach on Sunday. So that was pretty much it. But it kind of felt weird to go on. It kind of felt weird to go to the beach when it was kind of rainy, it was kind of windy, and it was a school. It was also a school night, so it's like it kind of felt weird. But hey, it's for my mom's birthday, so we had to do it. And then the first, and on her birthday, I actually had some Spanish homework to do, so it was kind of nice because I guess that wasn't the day where I realized, huh, this work's not just a waste of time. It's actually something kind of cool, as you're actually kind of learning something, and I liked that. But I feel like that was only for one really big assignment, and so yeah. So that's pretty much it for August. And now let's kind of talk about some things in September. Um, all right, so when it comes to September, actually, let me check the sound on this one. Hello?
Hello?
So when it comes to September, I enjoyed it. Obviously, it was what's crazy about this month is I don't do much in September when it comes to school. Um, Mainly because there's just not really anything to do. Oh, and one thing about August that I kind of missed out on, well, actually, I'll talk about. I guess we'll talk about later on my Instagram and everything, which will be a main part in December, by the way. So in September, I kind of felt this feeling of like aloneness, where I just felt like I didn't have any friends. Nobody was texting me. Nobody was talking to me in my classes or anything like that, and I just felt completely alone. And I just hate feeling that way. And there's a difference between feeling alone and wanting to be alone. When you want to be alone, it feels good. It feels nice. You like to do the things you're doing. But then when you feel alone, it's the worst feeling in the world because you want to be with people, but you can't be with them right now. And it's the worst feeling. And so I was actually able to talk to some friends about maybe starting a club at school, or like not like starting my own club, but going to joining a club at school. And that never actually happened, at least not yet, mainly because I've just been lazy. And I guess it's probably too late to join now. And even then, I have a friend that is like one of the main people at the school that you know basically plans everything that goes on at the school. And she's actually really nice about it, and she does a good job at that. So overall, I enjoyed September for certain things, but honestly, it was not a lot that happened. So we'll just skip to October now. All right. So excuse me. Also, as we get to October, obviously not a lot to talk about here. The big thing that I really did in October was really Halloween. And obviously Halloween is a pretty great holiday. And one of the big things I was really worrying about, I'm pretty much doing Halloween with friends now, but what am I gonna do now? And I was thinking, who am I gonna hang out with for Halloween this year? And so I had these two twin friends that I'm really good friends with, and so I decided to go trick or treating with them. But it was kind of different because I was going to do something with my other friend that we kind of planned since April, because my friend called me about it and saying, do you want to do something for Halloween? Which I thought was kind of weird since it's April. And so that never actually happened. So I just went with other friends, and it was a fun experience. And it was a nice experience because it showed that they are true friends and they are fun people to hang out with. But one other thing that I thought was very interesting was so I met this friend on Instagram this girl that goes to my school, and surprisingly, she's one of the best people I've ever met because she's really good at conversating with people. And like she's kind of out there a little bit, but at the same time, like the thing is I would send her voice messages and all this stuff. I would do my rants, I would tell things to her, and she's a very good secret keeper, but she's also a person that can be relatable and she actually can kind of teach you something. And I don't know, it's like she's actually kind of a good teacher to where she can teach you something about people. And like we were talking about certain people that me and her know, and she was telling me about all this stuff that happened with certain of these people, and I'm like, huh, it gives me a better view of some of these people, and I'm kind of liking it. So I'm like, I'm pretty pleased with it. And then we get and so yeah, overall it was great. And so yeah, Halloween was great, and what was so good about it is that um it was like the last day before I started second quarter of of 10th grade, and I was talking with them for almost an hour straight, and it was just one of the best things. Like I love talking to this person. She is just another one of those people that I love talking to, and she's just one of the best people I've ever met. So I'm not going to shout her name, but for anyone who's watching, you probably know who I'm talking about. She is great. She's not someone I've talked about on this channel before, but she's amazing. And I think that's it for October. So now we'll move on to November and December. Like we'll just talk about November now. All right. So as we head into November, as I'm talking about this, you're probably going to be asking, Nick, where's your homecoming story? And if you guys don't know, my homecoming last year was September 30th, and this year was actually later in October, and it was October 27th. And to answer your question, to anyone who was asking, I didn't go to homecoming. I didn't go to my school homecoming, and the only reason for that was because last year I wasn't really a big fan of it, and I was kind of hoping it would be the same experience like my 8th grade prom, which was amazing. I mean, obviously, I have some regrets that I did that year, but overall, the party was very good, and I have a lot of good pictures with people. But I have a lot of good pictures of people. But when it comes to 9th grade homecoming, there just was nothing good about it. It's like everybody, like I didn't know many people. Not many of my friends really went, and it's like it just felt awkward and it felt weird, and I just did not like it very much. So, and I didn't really get many pictures with anybody. Most of my pictures that I have are like with me and my friend Denzel. That's really much it. And I wish there was more because I personally feel like there was so much potential. And I think maybe that's why Homecoming in 2023 works a bit better because you'll be able to hang out with people better and you'll be able to, I don't know, like just do things a bit better. Now I will say this from the pictures I saw for 2023 Homecoming, I thought it looked pretty better. And most of my friends didn't even go, so I knew I would be bored. But I knew there would be some people that I would probably be able to hang out with. So I might be thinking of maybe wanting to go next year. Not sure, but who knows? But if I didn't go to my homecoming, did I at least go to a homecoming? Yes, I did. I actually went to my friend's homecoming. That is my middle school / high school, and to give you my honest thoughts on it, I thought it was great. And also, one of the things about the year before is I was even trying to get with someone, and basically asking if we could like hang out at homecoming, and they said yes, but it didn't really happen. So I just decided to just I didn't want to go because it didn't seem right. And with this new homecoming that I went to, this other school, it was great. The reason why I wanted to go to this one was because to me it was just better. One of the big things is there's people recognize you. They will say hi, and it almost feels like there's a lot more kinder people at this school. As like as soon as I showed up, because I and the thing is, I was invited by one of my friends. If you remember the girl I went to the mall with in June, she invited me, and we went there. We went in, and like as soon as I walked in, like three of my guy friends just dabbed me up, and it was amazing. And then as I walked in, we went over to the like little picture thing, and we took a picture. We all three of us took a picture together, and it was awesome. And what was so awesome about this is like it feels great to be a part. I wish I could be a part of this crowd. Honestly, I wish I can go to this school because there's a different feeling that I have with these people that I don't really have with with the people at my high school. And I wish I did, but you can kind of tell the different vibes between both schools. And one of the big things that I was kind of worried about going into this homecoming was I was worried that I was going to come home after this homecoming, be sad and regret that I wasted my money on something so pointless and stupid. And that's not what this was at all. Not to say that homecoming 2022 was stupid, but it wasn't the best experience because I didn't know anybody and I couldn't really have fun. And almost because nobody really knows me, they they're more making fun of people and all that stuff. So it's like it's hard to really have a good time there. With this one, I actually kind of let loose a little bit. Not to say I was in like one of those dance circles, but I actually was one of the people hyping people up. I kind of recorded a couple things, and overall, it was a good experience. Now, as of course, there are some things I did kind of regret. One thing I did kind of regret was hanging out was with the girl that invited me, and part of the reason why I wanted to go here again was because I barely get to see her at school, and so I thought this would be a good experience to hang out a little bit more. But at the same time, I think there's the things that I regret. I feel like are made up because it was done in a better way. To where it's like there are certain people I want to take pictures with, but honestly, the people I pretty much I had certain people I wanted to hang out with. So I guess you could say I took a picture with everybody I wanted to hang out with. So I was fine. If there was some other people I could have taken pictures with, I would have been fine with that too. And then when it comes to dancing, funny thing is, I kind of wanted to maybe like dance with my friend, but I guess that didn't happen because she was hanging out with her other friends. And also going back to the hanging out thing, we may not have hung out that much, but after the dance was over, I decided to go up to her and basically have this long ass talk of what our two experiences of the dance was like, and to share both of our different experiences of the dance and showing us and telling us it like it was just fun. It was good, and I liked that. And that's one thing. Like if you put us in a room together, it's we're not going to stay quiet. You can't leave us to you can't leave us alone in a room together because we're going to talk our asses off. Um, but when it comes back to the dancing, I thought it was actually made up for because there was a little thing that happened where people were holding hands and they were in a circle and dancing together, and I was like, "This is awesome. This is what a true family looks like." And honestly, I don't think my high school would have ever done this because if you don't know, this middle school that I went to, this middle school, high school, it's much smaller than my high school that I go to. And so not many people know each other. And so many people pretty much things get around pretty much fast. And so pretty much a lot of people will know each other. When it comes to my high school, it's a big school and not many people know each other. And so it's pretty big. And so I guess that's the reason why everybody's able to do that, to where I don't even know if people would do that at my high school. But yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But I mean, yeah, sorry, it was really good. I really much enjoyed myself. Three of my friends, two of my other guy friends that I hung out with, they did a great job of making me feel welcome and really lived up to the party. And overall, it was just a great experience. And honestly, I might want to go there next year again, but I don't know. And then we get to the second week, which was actually so pretty much the first all 3 weeks after this, I had a wedding to go to. And the week after that, I had Thanksgiving. So this wedding, it was my cousin's, and it was I thought this was I believe this is my first wedding I went to. This was one of the most gorgeous weddings I've ever been to, and one of the best weddings I've ever been to in my life. As you know, I'm not close with my cousin as much. The only time I really get to see them is really during like Christmas or certain special events that we're invited to. And it was quite nice to be invited and to see the love between these two people. That this one guy that I basically just met, where we had a rehearsal dinner, and then the day of the wedding was on a Saturday, and it was quite great. And uh it was just great. And funny thing is, I was actually involved in this wedding. Now I wasn't a big part of it, but I was in the part of walking my aunt down the aisle, because my aunt is my cousin's mom. So she got to walk down the aisle. So I thought that was very good. And I was even put in a video that they made. So I was really glad I got to do that. And if you think that walking down the aisle, doing the marriage, the sand or whatever, as you're walking down the aisle, they played "Over the Rainbow" from, I guess, Wizard of Oz. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen at a wedding in my life. So I thought it was great, and it even got better where it's like we it was like happy hour, I guess, where we like eat snacks or whatever. I forget what it's called, but yeah, we were eating snacks for like an hour until like 6, and then at 6 we went into the other room to go sit down to eat table, basically the dance floor. And this was also the room where the main people of the wedding, and my sister was also involved in the wedding too. And she, as people were walking out, people got to do toasts, and my uncle, my cousin's friends, they're really good friends or whatever. They got to do toasts or whatever, and it was just really overall adorable, and it was great, and it was just lovely. And then my cousin made a speech for her mom, since there wasn't much for the mom to do in the wedding, and I thought that was absolutely beautiful. That was absolutely amazing. And even my mom and dad were actually like tearing up, because they like sentimental stuff. So yeah, overall it was great. And then of course we get to the dance party. It was actually pretty great. So I personally loved that. Uh, and yeah, it was overall just a great wedding. I of course love hanging out with this family. They're always fun to hang out with. And yeah, it was great. So yeah, the wedding was absolutely amazing. Then we have Thanksgiving break to worry about, and it's kind of a different week. Also, kind of a funny story. As as I was going to so the first week in November, the week I went to that homecoming, I actually got sick. Like, because that week was also Veterans Day. It was also voting week, and the day of the week we had off, that Tuesday, I got sick, and I was slowly getting better, and then the week of Thanksgiving, I started to get sick again. Wednesday, my throat was starting to get very scratchy, and Thursday, my throat was like very scratchy all day. Had to keep clearing it, and then by the night, after I was done with my food, I started to get chills, and I had to put on a jacket. And I think what was also the cause of this was my mom was also starting to feel sick, which where we got to the point where we couldn't invite people over for Thanksgiving, which I was very bummed out because I didn't want this Thanksgiving to feel like Thanksgiving of 2020. Not to say Thanksgiving of 2020 was bad, but it's like I like being with people. I like being with all this. I like doing all that. I like doing prayers before we eat our food. I like doing all that. And so yeah. And to kind of close out the night, we basically watched It's a Wonderful Life, which was a pretty great movie. Obviously, I'm going to be reviewing it this Sunday for Celebration of Sim review for like 78 years, I believe. And it was my second time watching it. And overall, once again, it was just a great film. And then Friday was just absolutely terrible. I was just feeling the worst of sickness. Not as bad, not as worst as 2020 as the first week when I went to homecoming, because that whole weekend I was just feeling so bad. But it was just it was not good at all. And then that weekend was fine, just closing out, Thanksgiving break. And what's also kind of interesting about Thanksgiving break this year is I didn't really take pictures. The only things I really did was the only pictures I really took was of my food and Christmas decorations. But I also decided to do a different post to where I posted my food on my story, but I also want to make a post about my friends, about the people I am thankful for. Instead of making a post on my story, I want to make a post for people on my story on my Instagram. So I thought that was cool. And overall, yeah. And then the next day, I decided to do another post where it was for people that I don't really have any pictures with, but I'm still thankful for them. But I couldn't include them in the other post, so you're going to be included in this one. And I basically like posted a Gwen table post of like multiple people, and it was great. I thought it was cool. And that pretty much sums up November. And now we're going to talk about December, which is the final month. And we have quite a few stories to talk about in December. So as we reach November, as we reach December, we're coming back from school, and this is also kind of the first week where, as soon as you come back from Thanksgiving break and you go back to school, the next 4 weeks, it used to be 3, but the next 4 weeks now, from between Thanksgiving break and winter break, it's just all work. It's all work. It's all busyness to where it's like you can't really do anything. And part of the reason for this is because the fourth week of school after Thanksgiving break is midterms. Now, obviously, some people have the choice to exempt them, and I was able to exempt the 3 classes I got, and I was glad about that. I liked that. As we move into December 10th, it was my 2-year anniversary with my best friend, so I wanted to make a post about it, a full-on post a lot of great pictures with us. And it was just overall a nice post, a nice picture. And then we get to the third to last week of midterms, the third to last week of school. And one of the things I do when it comes to this week, intentionally, is I give candy cane. I bought candy canes for my friends, and the thing I do is I give them a candy cane, and to celebrate my friendship with them, I want to take a picture with them so I can post it, and that's how you'll do it. I didn't take as many pictures this year just because there just wasn't a lot of people I took pictures with. But the pictures, there was like 3 pictures I got, and usually I've been doing this since 2022, and since then I think there's at least been a couple pictures that have meant the world to me. Last year, I remember the first day I took 5 pictures, and I thought there were like 3 pictures that meant the world to me, at least maybe 3. And then the second day, I'd probably say there were 2, but honestly, I'm not friends with those people much anymore, so not really sure if I should count them. But yeah, with this thing, I think the best thing why I do this is if ever I'm feeling down, I get to think of the people that truly mean the world to me, and so I got those pictures to look at, and those pictures are great. And I guess somehow these pictures kind of made us closer in a way, to where I got to include them on a post, and it was just overall solidly good, and I just really liked it. And then we get to, I believe, December 16th. Yeah, December 16th. My 2 friends, the twins that I went to Halloween with, they had a birthday party that was also Christmas themed, and it was the best birthday party I've ever been to because it actually had a theme that was interesting. It was Christmas themed, and normally you don't get a lot of those types of parties, but it was quite great. As you know, for the birthday parties that I've been to this past year. You know, I went to 2 pool parties in summer, but the thing about pool parties is like the pool parties are the same every time. That they just take place in different locations. The only thing that is different about um pool parties is depends on who's there, and they're just pretty much all the same. That's just really all it is. And then with this one, I kind of feel like this is usually a one-time thing. Like this is a lucky one in a lifetime that you can actually do a birthday party that's in for Christmas. And I thought it worked. And what's so cool about it is I got to meet some of their friends, which I was kind of scared to because I thought maybe most of their friends were like girls or something, but most of them were actually pretty cool. And of course, I invited my they invited my friend Denzel because we're all close friends of his. We're all friends together, so it was good. We're all good. It's all great. And I think my favorite moment of the party was the dancing they did, as well as the little games we did, like in a circle as a group, and then when they reacted to my presence, it was one of the best things ever because their reactions are priceless. I think it's the clip of them is on the video I posted for 2023. It's amazing. You should watch it. It's awesome. I love the reactions to it. And even the messages they got, it was amazing. I loved it. So it was a good closeout to this party. Absolutely loved it. And then we get to and now we get to basically the final week of school before winter break, which I thought this was actually one of the most chillest weeks ever because but at the same time it was kind of not the best because I had to go to school every day. I accepted classes, but the only problem was I had to go to school every day because I had a midterm to do every day, and that was that was sad. Um, Granted, there were like certain classes that and the thing is, they kind of did it. The schedule, the way they did it, they kind of did it in the way they did final exams in ninth grade, whereas midterms in 2022 were you had like 4 classes a day, where first 2 periods were like testing periods, and the rest of the period were just normal class time. And I kind of liked that schedule better, but in that way it worked because there were certain classes I exempted. Whereas this one, I probably would still would have having to take classes. But the good thing about all this is all the classes I exempted were the second period of the day, and so all I got to do was just chill on the second period of the day, and I just worked in the morning, so it was good. It was all great. Obviously, there were certain exams I didn't really do well on, not because I didn't study, but there was just certain things that just did not work out. I don't even know certain grades. I haven't even checked my grades since like last year. But yeah, so and honestly, by the time I was done with this week, I was like, you know what? I'm done, and I'm just ready to watch. I'm just ready to stay up late until 3 to watch Winter Season 2. So, and that's what I've been doing pretty much since December 22nd to December 30th. So, yeah. And now we'll talk about my last week's winter break, which I thought was very good. Obviously, it's at least better to at least have a day to prepare for Christmas and New Year's before Christmas. It was good. And Christmas Eve is usually always good, and it was fine this year. I think Christmas Eve in 2021 was better, mainly because it actually felt like Christmas. This one just kind of felt a little bit shorter. I'm not sure, but I liked it a lot better. Then we get to Christmas Day, which of course is usually the exciting day. And what's kind of crazy is my sister got sick. Like she had a stomach flu, she was vomiting, she was doing all that stuff. And so basically Christmas Day was kind of weird. And at least we didn't invite anybody over, because if we did, it would have been a ruckus. But it was at least good because I liked the presents I got, and it was overall just very, very good. So I enjoyed myself. And also, when it comes to the post I made, I just made one simple post of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day together, mainly because um, I didn't take many pictures during Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, so I just decided to combine them together. And then the next day, December 26th, I decided to make a post about the presents I got, as well as posting a video, which you have on my channel now. And now let's talk about December 27th, which was the big day, which is why I didn't really want to talk much about my Instagram post, because something happened on my Instagram, if you can't tell. So, it was December 27th, and I woke up, and usually the first thing I do when I wake up is check Instagram to see if I got any messages. And I saw my notification center, and there was nothing. And I was assuming they didn't really have, because they don't have anything common on my story with. And then I went on my Instagram, and it was somehow acting very weird. As I was trying to view someone's story, and it was not working. And it was like doing that loading screen. And then I decided to refresh, close it out, and it said my account was suspended. And I'm thinking, like, wait, what? How did my account get suspended? Like, what did I do? And at first I was thinking either 3 ways. One, someone reported me, which I kind of feel like would be weird, because the night before I wasn't talking to anybody that would have them do that. The second thing is maybe it was copyright. I used to post all of my movie things of movie anniversaries and stuff on like Saturday or something. So I was thinking maybe that's what got me banned, but then I started to come down to it, and I think it's the spam. Now, at first I was thinking it's spamming someone, and so someone reported me for spam, but maybe they were reporting someone. I got banned because I got suspended because of everything that I was posting. I used to post from CBM Scene and Geekster, and I was like, but I've been doing this since 2022. How could they possibly just suspend me now? And then I tried to appeal it, and it said it still did not follow the community guidelines, and then basically disabled me. And so I had to make a new account, and that one didn't even work. As and was also crazy is that day was also my mom was sick, got sick too. And so honestly, it's like it was so boring. Now, and I know it sounds crazy to talk about this like I'm a lunatic, but let's be honest here. Instagram is my way of communicating. It's my way of seeing people of what they do and to show what people do and to show and post. When it comes to YouTube, it's more for enjoyment purposes, for famous people, for famous YouTubers that people like to watch and talk. For TikTok, let's be honest, nobody uses TikTok like that. Nobody texts on TikTok. Nobody does that. People will post on TikTok, but then they'll save the videos to their drafts. That's all they'll do. Or they'll just use it to enjoy funny videos. When it comes to text messaging, I don't text on my messenger rarely. There's certain people I do, but it's not as interesting. And also, you can't really tell whether that person's active unless they view that message or not, because sometimes people will just leave you undelivered. And so I felt it was weird. And so I was like, I was just kind of sad the whole day because it's like it felt weird not to talk to anybody. Like I had some friends to talk to, but it's like it's not the same. Instagram just has that interesting spark that I like. And so I guess I had to just think good that everything was going to be okay. I'm going to get Instagram back and everything's going to go back to the way it was, which it kind of did. So, of course, I watched the holdovers that night. I also watched all these other things. Um, what else happened? So as I made my new Instagram account, I tried following everybody back, or at least, you know what, I'm gonna like take a couple days to let it warm up, and maybe we'll see if it gets better. And by the time I got like to like a couple like 50 followers or something like that, I wasn't able to text many people. Like it has this thing to where if it loads and it like I would go to the messenger thing and the message thing just loads. It doesn't like load to a screen where you can actually text someone. And I even commented on someone's story a couple days ago, like on January 3rd, and like a comment on their story saying nice shirt or whatever, and it said like it suspended me for texting on someone's account. And then I was thinking, and then it says suspended on January 4th. But January 4th was the day after, was the next day. So what are you talking about? So I thought that was very confusing. So I'm like, so am I going to be able to text people again on Instagram? I mean, technically, people can text me, but for some reason I can't text them. And I can text certain people, but I can't text, for some reason I can't text everyone. And so for me, I thought that was kind of weird. And I even been trying to ask people, like, if they've ever been doing this before or something like that. But the thing is, it's like nobody is like me to where they're trying to be responsible in posting stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to make the sense of it. Hopefully there's someone out there that can actually relate to me, and I'm really trying to look it up as to like what my Instagram be like this forever. Now, granted, I can actually text people on my and also I made two accounts, one for movies and friends, and then also for friends and family, and then one for movies. So my Instagram movie account is on Instagram right now. So it's basically the name of my YouTube channel except with the 20. But the thing is, with my movie account, I have like 13 followers. So maybe that's the reason why it's just not many followers. So you're able to text people. But with your first account, your family and friends one, you can't text as many people because there's too many. But when I was posting all that stuff, I wasn't doing it for spam. I was doing it because I liked doing it. I was posting what I like. And the fact that you can get suspended because you like to post so much is weird. It's very strange. But besides that, by New Year's, which New Year's Eve was good. And I think leading into the new year, what was so great is I believe I got like 5 text messages from people. Like literally, I got a message from my like 2 friends on Instagram, like 3 friends on Instagram, 2 friends texted me, like 6 actually, 6 people texted me on my phone as well, and 3 other people texted me on Instagram. I'm like, this is the best thing ever. I'm loving this so much. And I'm like, yes. So, and I'm like, this just shows that people care. And what's so good is I was talking to one of the friends that I thought I was on bad terms with, but somehow we got to start off the new year on good terms, and it was so good. And I'm like, it's nice to start off the year with good terms, and I love this. And also the other positive thing about New Year's, as we went home at 1, maybe 1:30 or something, or like 2. As last year we went back home until like 5 o'clock in the morning, which I didn't really like that because that's just too late. And as I got home, I decided I wanted to play Spider-Man 2 since I was bored and I just wanted to play it. So yeah. And basically, as the first day of New Year started, to me it just kind of felt weird, as when the new year starts, it feels so weird, as you don't know what day it is, you don't know what time it is, you don't know what everything is. But at the same time, I feel like after this Christmas, after this situation with my Instagram that just happened, I guess it's a sign. And I'm very sad about losing my Instagram account because I lost everything. I was like at 77 posts and I lost everything. And that was so drastic to me because and all those posts, all those stories, everything that I posted, it's all gone. And I hated everything about that. I hated that I lost everything. But at the same time, I think that Instagram account was so unorganized that I'm kind of liking that I'm going to be able to start out fresh and new this year with my Instagram, and that I'm not going to post as much. I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to post movie news or whatever, because I don't want to post too much of that, but those are the main accounts I used to post movie news. So I'm going to try to find a way to, make certain posts not post as much, only post movie news unless it's like really something I'm very much excited for, or unless I like send it to a friend, then yeah, I gotta post that. Which I probably will start doing that next week, most likely. And so yeah, that's pretty much it for the rest of this month and this year. Also, Spider-Man 2 is great. I'm very excited to still playing it. I'm on the Felicia level where they're fighting the turrets. It's very hard. So yeah, so let's just kind of close this out with an overall review of the year. So, to give you my final thoughts on this year, I thought that it was an overall good year. There were some ups and downs. There were obviously some friends I lost, some things I did lose. But at the same time, I think there were certain aspects of it that made it feel a bit better than 2022. I feel like when the year started, it was amazing. And I feel like I kind of got out a little bit more. I was able to get out of the house a little bit more and experience things with friends. But then I also I also kept going back to what if they don't actually think about me, and then I just kept going back to that. I think the best thing about this year, I watched a lot of movies, definitely a lot of movies. So overall, that's pretty much my thoughts on 2023 and the final half of it. I'm not gonna do New Year's resolutions in this stream just because I'm actually gonna have a separate video for that. So that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All of my social media stuff is in the about section over there, or wherever the about section is. I don't even know where the about section is on the YouTube channels anymore. But that's it for now. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna be uploading a Stranger Things season 5 review today, short little review, a Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets review, and then New Year's resolutions, and then come back Sunday and you'll get my first my new first celebration cinema review of 2024 with reviewing It's a Wonderful Life. And I'll see you guys in the next one.